Hi, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to customize your SalesFUSION account with the basics of creating users, creating roles, looking at the different types of daily reports and how to subscribe, as well as looking at how to personalize your unsubscribe, your forward to a friend, and your dialogue privacy policy. To begin, I'd like to start off by creating a role. Roles are very important to the SalesFUSION system as they control report sharing, dashboard sharing, and data sharing, as well as having some common navigation preferences. To access the roles, you would go to the Administration tab, and you would click on Administration. Down here, the third from the top, we have an area called Roles. By default, you will have 3 roles created. One will be called Admin Navigation, one will be called Marketing Navigation, and one will be called Sales Navigation. These are roles that are created for you to quickly use and assign navigation preferences to different users inside of the system. These are just some preset standards that we associate to a sales role, associate to an admin role, and associate to a marketing role. You can customize these and change these to your liking. If we were to look at the sales navigation, if I choose Edit, you can see here that we have users and we have navigation access. Users is where you can assign additional users to that particular role. Navigation access is where you can add or take away rights. You can see for a sales role, we're giving them access to the CRM. We are not giving them admin access. We are not giving them, we are giving them dashboard access. We're not giving them dialogues or events or lead scoring because a typical salesperson is not going to be creating a dialogue. They are not going to be creating an event. They're not going to be messing with your lead scoring. They're simply going to be going into the CRM to look at their contacts and leads. They may need access to the marketing dashboard where they can see a contact and leads activity, such as web activity, email sent, distribution list that the person belongs to, and more. So it's very basic navigation preferences. Obviously, again, you can customize that, add more to it, or take away some of those rights. You get into the marketing navigation, and this is where you'd give them access to the e-marketing, maybe the e-dialogues, because your marketing people are going to be the ones setting those up, but they may not have admin rights. And that's where the admin navigation comes in, where usually this role has full navigation access. Again, the only thing that it is controlling is the navigation. It's not controlling data sharing, report sharing, or dashboard sharing. So let's go ahead and create a role from scratch, and we'll talk about the other areas that the roles can control. So I'm going to select New in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm going to assign a role name. Role names can be anything of your choosing. For my purpose, I'm simply going to give it today's date and call it Training. You can also enter a more in-depth description. I'm just going to copy and paste, and then click on Save. You can see now that my role has been created, but now I need to customize the properties of it. All the way over to the right-hand side, I am going to select Edit, and it's going to bring me into the property screen. Now you see here we have our role name that was brought over, and we have 4 checkboxes here, and this is defining what permissions this role will be granting. Data access is referring to contacts, leads. It's referring to templates, campaigns, distribution lists, segmentations. All of those areas are controlled by data access. If this is not checked, then people assigned to this role cannot see each other's data. So if we have Jane and Bob are assigned to this role, and this is not checked, they cannot see each other's campaigns, contacts, leads, accounts, and so forth. If this is checked, then Jane and Bob are able to see each other's data. But if you have Joe, and Joe is not a part of this role, then Joe cannot see any of Jane and Bob's stuff. He can only see his stuff. So data access is actually quite important and something that you will usually need to set up so that team members or users can share and see each other's items inside of the system. Navigation access is, of course, referring to the navigation preferences that you can set if you want a role to have common access. When this is checked, you get an extra tab down here that says Navigation, and you can come in here and choose what they will have access to and what they will not. We also have dashboard access. Dashboard access is referring to the global dashboards that are available under the main dashboard tab here. If global dashboard is checked, that means that this role will be able to be used inside of a global dashboard for sharing. And lastly, we have report access. Report access is again referring to if the people inside of this role have custom reports, they will be able to see each other's custom reports. If this is not checked, then they will only be able to see reports that they create. Again, you may use just 2 of these, maybe just data and dashboard, or you may be using all 4 of them, or just 1 of them. The roles will be set up however you need them specifically for your particular account. If you need everybody to have the same exact access and be able to see everybody's items, then you would check all 4 of these and add all users to this particular role. Then everybody would be able to see everybody else's stuff. To add multiple users, you can go ahead and hit Save and Return, and all you have to do is click on Add All Users here. You're able to have as many roles or as few roles as you choose. So you can have, if you have 4 teams, Team A, B, and C, and D, you could have a Team A role, a Team B role, a Team C role, and a Team D role. One additional item that you can create is you can have an admin CRM role. This is a power user role. When you click on Add CRM Admin Role, it adds this role here. This role is a power user where anybody assigned to this role can see everybody else's items in the system, but they can't see theirs. So if you are the primary user of SalesFUSION, then you would be able to see my stuff, Joe's stuff, Bob's stuff, Sue's, Mary's, etc., but we wouldn't be able to see yours. We're next going to look at creating a user. Roles are important first because you have to have roles set up to create a user. To create a new user, you would come up here to the Admin tab, and in the ribbon bar, you would click on Users. You will see 2 users here by default if you're a brand new account. The first user will be whoever signed up for the account. The second user will be a SalesFUSION support user called System Administrator, which gives us access to be able to hop into your account and be able to help you troubleshoot. If you are using an external CRM system and you need the user to have access to both the CRM as well as SalesFUSION, you do need to create that user inside of your CRM system. On the next sync, we will pull it down to SalesFUSION and be able to give them access here. If you were to create them first inside of SalesFUSION and then also in your CRM, you would have duplicates, which you want to avoid that. So if you are using an external CRM, they need to have access to both, again, created inside of your external CRM. If you are using SalesFUSION CRM, or if they only need to have access to SalesFUSION and not your external CRM, then you would go through the process of creating a new user inside of SalesFUSION. To do that, you would come here and click on New User. You would enter the person's first name and last name, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my information. Username can be anything of your choosing. To make it easy, I would put in their email address as their username. So I'm going to put in, I've used up all of mine. You can only have one email address, unique email address for each user. So I'm just going to put in a fake one here. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy that and put it in for the email address. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. And it has technically created this user, but I need to go ahead and set the properties. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on Edit. And it's going to take me into the user properties. So here I can add some additional information. Now this information is not mandatory. You do not have to put in a salutation, a title, a phone number, extension, and so forth. This information can be entered by that user when they log in. They can go to Toolbox and go to Preferences. So if you don't want to fill in this information, you don't have to. What I would recommend doing is at least setting their time zone. It automatically defaults to Greenwich Mean Time. But if they are located, let's say, in Eastern, you can set Eastern. You then need to click on Generate Password, and it'll say Password Generated, and you need to click on Email Password. When you click on Email Password, it will email a security-generated password to this email address that the person can log in with. Please note that it simply says for jamie.whited@company123.com, your password is, and it has your password. If the username is not their email address and you have it as something completely different, they will not know what that username is. You will need to send them an email telling them what their username is and where to log into the system. For security purposes, we do not put the username together with the password together with the login site. So that is information you do have to provide separately. Continuing on, once you've emailed their password, there are a couple additional preferences that you do need to set. Again, address, social profile, signature, these are all things that the user can set themselves. What I would set is under Options, if you need them to have access to this Administration tab, you need to check Domain Administrator. Domain Administrator does give them access to this tab to do and conduct some admin functions. You can have as many domain administrators as you choose. The next thing that you would need to do is go over to the roles and at least assign a role to them. If you don't assign a role, then basically they can only see their own information and they have no navigation preferences set. So if you add a new role, you can find the role and click on Save. And note that a person can be assigned multiple roles, so you can have them in 4, 5, 6 different roles if you choose to. Once that's done, you can go ahead and click on Save, and the person's user has been created. Next, we're going to take a look at setting our personalization options for unsubscribe, forward to a friend, and the dialog privacy policy. To do that, again, we're going to continue working inside of our Administration tab, and we're simply going to go to General Attributes. Please note that the general attributes are set at an account level, not a user individual level. So I'm going to go to General Attributes, and it's going to give me a lot of options here. Now, some of these options are standard if you are using the SalesFUSION CRM, meaning you can set an appointment reminder, an activity reminder. You can choose the close stage. You can enter the opportunity funnel for the dashboard and the hot lead columns. This, again, is usually just used for people who are using the SalesFUSION CRM so that they can customize it to their liking. We also have the dashboards, which again allows you to change the dashboards here. And dialogues, we have our privacy policy link that you can have auto-populated every time you create a dialogue using the dialogue wizard. Every company should have a privacy policy. It's not mandatory, but it's definitely a way to protect yourself and to reassure recipients and users in the system that you're not going to be selling or distributing their information, especially if you're collecting data from forms and such. We also have a default inactive notice that you can use once a dialogue has become inactive. If somebody were to access it, they would see our default template, but here you can customize it and have your logo and redirecting them to another place. We have the emails, and this is just having a common footer where you can click a footer button inside of the email designer, and it will simply populate with this footer here. We have the forward to a friend, which allows you to customize the forward to a friend page. So here you have a header and you also have a footer. The header allows you to have a logo or some other text or images that you want to have on top of the forward to a friend. And then the footer, again, is where you can have a privacy policy or you can provide some additional information if you choose to about your forward to a friend feature and function. Again, this is for the entire account. So if one user sets this up, it will stand true for the entire account, no matter who the user is. We obviously also have our unsubscribe, and our unsubscribe is where you can set up, again, an unsubscribe header and an unsubscribe footer. The middle content for the forward to a friend and the unsubscribe cannot be changed. That is standard and default, but you can at least customize it to a point to be able to have a common look and feel for your particular company. An additional area that a lot of people are not aware of is the soft bounce tracking. And if you care to track your soft bounces, which means that the recipient server accepted the email, but for some reason it could not be delivered to the recipient. If you choose to track your soft bounces, you do need to enable some POP settings, which I'll show you where that is in just a moment. And then here you would have your soft bounce settings, where you say, after we've received a soft bounce X number of times with this delivery message, then we're going to go ahead and make it a hard bounce. So that is an option. You don't always have to turn it into a hard bounce if you just want to track your soft bounces. To track your soft bounces, you'd go back to the Administration tab, and there is a POP email for soft bounce right under here under External Connectors. For every from and sender address that you're sending to or sending from, so if you're sending from marketing@company.com, you need to set up a POP email for marketing@company.com. If you're also sending from jamie.whited@company.com, I need to add one for jamie.whited@company.com. When you click on Add, it asks you for the username. I'm just going to call this one Jamie Whited. You can enter a more in-depth description and then click on Save. It's then going to take you to the email setup screen where it's asking for the POP host, the POP username, the password, if it's SSL, the port, the host, and so forth. All of this information can be gathered from your email client. If you do not know how to access information, then reach out to Gmail, Yahoo, or reach out to your IT person internally, and they can provide you with this information. Again, this is for us to be able to track soft bounces when you're sending campaigns using SalesFUSION. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Return. Oh, and I'm going to hit Cancel and Return because it's asking. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one because it's not complete. Now, the last area that I want to show you is some standard reports that you can sign yourself up for or sign other users up for, which will be beneficial to you. They are regarding the web analytics, so you would need to have your analytics script up on your website. And that's the analytics script that was provided to you upon your implementation call. If you do not have that set up, then you're not going to see anything on these reports. To show you an example of them, we'll start off with our daily activity report. Daily activity report will be prefixed with your company name here, daily web activity report. So ours is SalesFUSION. Yours would say Acme Co., Company ABC, etc. You can also see that it's coming from noreply@messageapp.com. This is where all of our subscribed reports come from, so you would need to add that as a safe sender to ensure that you receive it. And you can see here that it's giving you some summary information. Unique web hits for the previous day, number of pages visited, number of alerts sent, and then we have some anchor here where you can jump down to different areas in the report. To start off with, we have summary reports up here. Top keywords. What were your top keywords for this particular day? Again, it's looking only at a 24-hour window for that previous day. You can see here that it's telling me our keywords. It's telling me how many visits use that keyword. And sometimes you'll see some interesting items here, such as this. Please note that the keywords are gathered from the query string provided by the search engine. Sometimes you do get some interesting things like this. LinkedIn, for example, is notorious for having some interesting keywords such as this one here. You can see that we have marketing automation and QR codes, online lead generation, email marketing, and so forth. So this is good insight for your marketing team to see how can they utilize this information to the fullest. If I continue to scroll down, we have top sources. Top sources are how are people getting to your website. You can see we have email campaign, which means that they clicked on this email campaign on a link from an email campaign to your website. Organic means that they came into your website by directly typing it in. External link means they came from a third-party link, maybe a partner website or Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that. Search is that they use the search engines such as Bing, Google, Yahoo. Paid search is when it's coming in from a paid search using, let's say, Google AdWords or AdSense. If I scroll down, you can see some additional information as who are my top referrers. Where are the most people coming from? Google, SalesFUSION, Capterra, Dialogues, and so forth. Again, this is good information because it tells you where you should be directing your marketing efforts to. If you're spending tons of money on nicelook.com, but you're only getting 2 hits, and you see 19 from Google, then maybe you should invest more into advertising with Google. And as we get down, we get into some more in-depth, detailed information. So great information on this. It is a lot of information and something that you can definitely take a look at. That's one report. Now we have another report here, which is our weekly analytics, which is instead of looking at a 24-hour window, it's looking at a week-long glance. This report is sometimes very large for customers who have a lot of traffic on their website. So it comes over in this manner as a link where you say Get Report, and it provides the same information that we just saw on the daily report, but again at a weekly view. You can see here that it's only available for 48 hours, so if you do need to view it after that, you're going to need to click on it, save it, and that way you'll be able to view this report after 48 hours has passed. Our last report that I want to show you is a summary report. And this is a summary report on organizations. Again, this is looking at a 24-hour window. And you can see here that it's saying vCall Communications was on our website 63 times on this day. Network Technology was on 15, ISP Business Customer was on 9, and so forth. You are getting a mix of Internet service providers, such as Optus Internet, as well as companies such as TechSpace and Akebia, and so forth. This is just a good report to be able to see from a summary report who are your top organizations that are visiting your website over and over again. If you click on this link, it will ask you to log into SalesFUSION, and then it will then take you to that account inside of SalesFUSION. It does not open the organization inside of an external CRM, such as Microsoft or Salesforce.com. To subscribe to those 3 reports, you would go to Administration and you would go to Users. Once you're on Users, you'll have a list of all of your users and you'd find the person that you want to subscribe. Click on Manage Subscriptions and you'll be presented with this screen. Now the reports that we just looked at are the Nightly Analytics Report, which is our daily analytics report. Nightly Summary Report is the Summarized Organization Report. And then, of course, we have our weekly analytics report as well, where you can sign up for all 3, or you can sign up for 1 or 2. Once you've set your changes, click on Save Changes, and it will be saved, and it will go into effect the next day. Please note that all 3 of these reports will come out around 5:30 a.m. Eastern on every day of the week, including weekends. We have a great tool here under the toolbox called Help. This is our online reference manual. If you need some additional information about these reports, if you need some additional information about how to create users, it's a good quick reference to come in here, click on search and type in, user, and it'll walk you through how to create a user. You just have to find the applicable area. We also have our Learning Management Center, which is located again under the toolbox called Learning Management. If you've never been to this area, when you first access it, you will need to register and create your own username and password. Once you are logged in, you will have access to all of the recorded videos available for SalesFUSION. You also have access to the live training schedule that is available, as well as the knowledge base, system updates, and tips and tricks. As always, I thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day.